Welcome back, you guys. We're ready to get off on another one here. So, since I've got my bike back from the dealership for my 1K service, I have noticed that it does start up a whole lot better. I talked to the guy up there whenever they were gonna do it all, and I specifically asked him to make sure to check all the like updates. I know some of y'all mentioned that down there in the comments, so I made sure to ask, and sure enough, man, I've been having a whole lot better luck with the bike and starting on the first try. It almost don't even seem like it hesitates anymore. You just turn it on and hit the switch. So I'm pretty happy about that. But he did give me a pretty interesting answer. He said something about, I believe it was the voltage. I could be wrong. I'm no you know, battery expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be. But he said that if it's even off by like 1 volt or something like that, essentially alluding to like if it's any somewhat dead at all, that the bike just will not start. The battery has to have a perfect charge or this bike will not start. He said that some bikes, even with a little bit of a dead battery, they can still manage to turn over. He said, but this one, they can't do it, I guess. So I thought that was a little odd, considering, you know, if other bikes can do it, why is this one any different? But maybe it's just because of yeah, I don't know, compression maybe issues and stuff like that. Really wouldn't probably be an issue, but I imagine this is probably a relatively high compression, but I may be wrong on that one, because I've never really looked into it, to be honest. But I do think it's an interesting answer he getting me. And one thing I definitely wanted to talk about today is so I was scrolling through Facebook, as I do with a good majority of free time that I like to waste, and I noticed a post by Saddlemen. They put out some concept art for the Pan Am, and for it to be in the like Battle of the Baggers or whatever, and I'm gonna throw it up right now. And I think y'all are gonna get a laugh out of this, because I can't be the only person who feels like that photo that I just threw up doesn't look like a Sportster S. I mean, the swing arm in the rear is obviously different, but the tank looks basically the same, and that handlebar and fork setup basically just looks like a Sportster S. At least that's what it screamed in my head. So I thought that was interesting, and it kind of makes me question, like, do y'all believe that Harley's really going towards a sport orientated kind of customer nowadays? Every time we turn around, what the fuck, every time you turn around, it seems to be they're just putting out fast boy bikes. I mean, the Lowrider S is a big hit, and people are starting to love that thing, and that's a sport orientated bike. We all know for a little while now that the sport cruisers are starting to get out there. Stuff like the Street Bob have got real popular, and other trims really close to that. And the hot thing to do as a Harley boy now is to soup up your engine so that you can go really fast. So, and me and my buddy was sitting here talking about this, so we was grabbing a bite to eat, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see, right? Because you hear about with the sport bikes, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole like point slash like big fun on the sport bike is the fact that you are able to get out there on them highways and just like tear them up and get them up to like awfully high RPMs and shit like that, along with the fact that they're lightweight and they're geared out for it, right? Now, I was looking, and it looks like 60 to like 80 foot-pounds of torque is like the average for these big super sports and stuff like that. So, hear me out here. If these bikes they're starting to put out have damn near almost double the torque number as some of these super sports, right? And they actually get these bikes to where they're making the same amount of horsepower. What's the big difference at that rate? I mean, yeah, it's the seating position and stuff, but like, if this bike I'm sitting on right now can go out there and comfortably carve up some canyons, and it can get on the highway and blast 160 plus, what's going to be the difference between these sport bikes and these sport cruisers? I mean, it would, if you ask me, it's probably, I feel like it's going to come down to a comfortability aspect. Maybe that's what it's going to be mainly about. Like, it's going to make picking a fast bike a little confusing, because this bike I'm on right now is still very much a cruiser, and everybody will agree that it's a cruiser, but yet, you know, I'm doing with the Governor 137 on this, and I can hit that almost in 5th gear. So if I can get this bike to reach upwards of 160, like I'm pretty sure that the dadgum thing can do, after I get the Governor removed on it, I mean, shit, it being a 1250, I should be able to even go even farther than that. You know, you do the cams and stuff like that, especially take into the matter of fact that the Pan Am motor is this motor. This is just a tuned down or differently tuned version, if you may, because the Pan Am makes like 150 horsepower. And if you've got a bike like this, let's say they put them, say that literally just moved the engine over, this would be a 150 horsepower sport cruiser. I mean, with another 50 horsepower, I'm at like 200 horsepower, man. Now, I know I say that like that's just real easy to do, but I mean, when you take in consideration with these bikes that they're being like bogged down from factory, I mean, you'd put a pipe, you do a tune, you change your cams, stuff like that. There's no way they can't make that Pan Am make 200 horsepower. It's just sitting so close to it already. And if that bike has got fucking 40 more foot-pounds of torque than your Super Sport, how am I not pulling through the gears just as hard as you, if not harder than you? And if I got the same top end speed, it's just overall a meaner bike. So my interest is in stuff like that. I mean, these bikes are borderline getting up there with sport bikes. I mean, I want to know if y'all think that, or if I'm just, you know, smoking it over here, because I just think that it's this bike's kind of insane sometimes. The more I ride it and the more comfortable I get with the bike, and I'm getting more comfortable with getting into the throttle and stuff like that at different speeds and stuff, it just feels like a whole nother animal. And last week I went ahead and I took a ride with my grandpa. I didn't bring the camera along because it's our first ride we got this year, and I just kind of wanted to relax and go ride with him and not have to worry about dealing with camera and talking and stuff like that. I just wanted to kind of relax and get me a good ride in. So we went and rode around. Realistically, I kind of just went and bar hopped with him. I didn't drink. I'm not much into the drinking anymore. But it is still fun to go to those places and hang out. I found, you know, you don't have to be drunk to have fun. You can go up there, have you a glass of water, talk with everybody, meet some people. I mean, it's really not all that bad. But on our way back, coming towards the house, I ran into a stretched sport bike, and it said Hayabusa on the side of it. Now, whether or not it was actually a Hayabusa, or whether or not the person just knew how to drive it or didn't know how to drive it, or, you know, whatever the case was, we decided we was gonna race at those lights. And when I tell you I left this bike, it was a fucking joke. So I'm really kind of curious, you know, where this lies with stuff, because one race isn't going to be the proof that I need my head to decide that, oh yeah, this is just so fast. But man, I left that bike behind so fast. We rolled out in the first gear, and when I smashed on the throttle, he disappeared. I'm not even gonna lie. And my grandpa was with me. He was I think he has an old Heritage. It has, I think, like a 98 cubic inch or something like that. He said he was running beside the dude up until third gear, and the guy just left him like it was nothing. But I left both of them like I literally got so far ahead of them that I pulled over to the side of the road and had to stop and wait for them to come back into view. Now, I do not know if that dude just didn't know how to drive, if he wasn't playing, or if he wasn't as serious about it as me, but like, it was obvious that we were all racing. All of us was lined up there at the light, and when we took off, I dusted everybody. I mean, everybody was behind me. And if the difference between dealing with these cruiser and these sport bikes is like low end versus high end torque, if I've got the high end torque now as well as the low end, the sport bikes are going to have to get that low end torque or they're not going to keep up. But I know that sounds a little blasphemous right there. You're probably like, now you're probably going a little too far. And I'm trying not to be that way, but if I really feel like if I could get this in that 150 horsepower range, or if they got something like this into the 150 or 180 horsepower range, along with keeping that torque up there in the hundreds like they are able to do on a lot of these different bikes, then I don't see no reason why these modern cruisers aren't capable of keeping up with these big sport bikes, at least out on the highway. Because if it wasn't for this governor on this bike, I'm pretty sure that I could tag that 150 mark, if not 160. But that's just that's the little thoughts I've been having in my head. I kind of wanted to share with you guys. I kind of want to know y'all's thoughts and opinions on the whole deal. I know some of it might sound a little controversial, but that's fine. You know, if anybody wants to tell me I'm wrong in the comments, that I'm not going to get offended by it. I will go ahead and say, you know, I have not had a sport bike. I've only rode cruiser bikes. So this is the only thing I have experience with. So I could go and get on a super sport and go out there and be like, oh no, it's not the same. But when you're looking at, like, I guess a spec sheet, it's not, you know, they're starting to get close to each other, at least in my opinion. At the moment, we're just kind of going back down here to my job. I forgot my charger for my phone while I was at work, oddly. I never bring my charger to work because I try to stay off my phone as much as possible when I'm at work. That way I don't kill my battery. But I went ahead and brought it with me to work yesterday because I didn't put my phone on the charger in the nighttime, and so I didn't have a charged phone when I got to work. But I wanted to make sure my phone was charged, so I went ahead and grabbed my charger and brought it to work. So my dumbass forgot it, like I do every time I bring my charger to work. And you'd think I wouldn't forget that, because a phone is something that us modern people have on us at 24/7. Like, anybody who pretends that they can't answer their phone or reply back to you, don't believe that shit. Their phone is on there. Name one person that you realistically know who doesn't have their phone on them every day. Your phone is almost as important as your wallet, I'd argue, nowadays. Most people don't realize that, man, if they would just take their phone out of the equation there, you spend a lot of time on that dadgum thing. I mean, you really do. It's like a whole connection to a whole different universe almost. Well, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think about my rambling here. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. If you don't care, let me know. But I'd love to hear back from y'all in the comments. Peace out, you guys.